Quest explores various pathways through which you can connect with the infinite wisdom of the universe and apply it to personal, professional, and spiritual growth. This program, featuring accomplished practitioners, educators, and authors, is provided by Infinity Foundation, an innovative center for holistic studies and research. We invite you to share this journey with us.
Hello, welcome to Inner Quest. My name is Jay Stone, your host for today, and our guest is Mindy Greenberg. Welcome, Mindy.
Thank you.
Well, let me tell the audience a little about Mindy. Mindy is a certified health and nutrition coach practitioner working in the North Shore. In 1985, Mindy received a BA in food and nutrition from Northern Arizona University. Mindy's clients include women and men of all ages, including teens, with a variety of weight and health issues. Well, what led you to become a health and nutrition coach?
What led me to it is, well, going back, I obviously got my degree in nutrition when I was much younger, but moving forward, I kind of didn't go into that field. I ended up in pharmaceutical sales, and then got married, had 3 children, didn't work for a while, and in my 40s started having some health issues, lots of fibromyalgia and joint pain, sleep issues, things like that, and of course went through the gamut of MDs and physicians, ended up on some medications that didn't agree with me, and come full circle, I kind of got reaffiliated with nutrition and went back and got my health coaching certification.
Okay, and was there some major dietary changes for you?
There were lots of dietary changes, which really had a big impact on my health and the way I felt.
So it really, you must have a lot of empathy for your clients because you've done it yourself.
Absolutely.
And what were some of the dietary changes that?
Well, initially I kind of cold turkey stopped a lot of things. I eliminated sugar and dairy, gluten, wheat, things like that from my diet. In addition to some of the heavier medications that I was on, taking lots of Motrin, things like that. And I kind of cold turkey stopped all that, which I don't necessarily advise for my clients, but over about a 3 to 6 month period of time, I started to feel much better. And that's what really impacted me to make it this career change.
And when you were going through these dietary changes, did you have influence on your 3 children and husband?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It took a while. It took quite a bit of time for the transition in my household to transition into the way my family eats and ate. But coming full circle now, my kids are all very, very healthy eaters, and as is my husband.
Okay. And so how would you compare your health now to when you were sick and before you made those dietary changes?
So much better,
Okay.
And also
you're older too.
It's more in my control. I understand it better. I understand how to work with it. I understand when I do have bouts. I'm not perfect. There are days where I don't feel great, but I understand why it's there and kind of what I've done to create it.
Okay. How are health and nutrition coaches different than, say, dietitians or nutritionists?
Well, we're actually quite different, and we complement each other in many ways. So whereas a registered dietitian or a nutritionist is the person that you'd go to kind of be diagnosed, would do food allergy testing on you and check for gluten intolerances, things like that, even diabetes. They don't necessarily have the follow-up time that, let's say, a health coach would have to then work with creating a lifestyle change, to actually kind of doing like pantry cleanses, grocery shopping, and finding the right foods that can help settle your system down and reverse some of the side effects.
So do you actually go into clients' homes to help them cleanse their pantries?
I do.
And refrigerators?
I do. When they're ready to let me come in, I do that.
Okay.
And it's a big step for people because people don't want to part with their favorite foods. That's hard to do.
Okay. And then you take your clients on shopping trips?
Yes.
Okay.
One of the things typically I do, or one of the steps I take in working with clients, is in their second or third session. Oftentimes we'll meet at Whole Foods or Trader Joe's and kind of walk the aisles. And I just mentioned a minute ago, I never want to take people's favorite foods away from them. So what we work on is to find a replacement for that favorite food.
And what are typically some of your clients' favorite foods that they have a difficult time giving up?
I would say chocolate is a big one. Diet sodas are a very big one. Lots and lots of dairy, pasta, things like that.
And so what are some of the substitutions you make for chocolate, say?
So chocolate, I just simply say let's do dark chocolate. Let's work on darkening up the chocolate, making that so you have the good nutrition from the chocolate coming in. And when you're eating dark chocolate, typically you eat less of it.
Okay. And sodas?
And sodas, that's a tough one. Soda can be like an addiction. It's very hard sometimes to get off soda. My husband was kind of a soda addict for a long time. He has obviously quit it now, but I say go sparkling water is a good one. And it's not an easy transition. There's no easy way to say quit soda, but it's one of the first things I work on with my clients, whether it's diet soda or regular soda, is let's get you off the soda.
Now, there are some more quote-unquote natural sodas available at...
there are.
And what do you think of those?
I think that to transition from like a real soda to that is absolutely fine. I don't encourage people to stick to that or use that daily. I'm a big fan of really good hydration, good water sources, green tea, things like that to hydrate our bodies naturally. But I don't have a problem with club soda or sparkling water at all with lime. You can really dress those up and make them taste delicious.
Do you find ice cream a problem for your clients?
Yeah, people like ice cream, definitely.
Yeah.
Pizza, ice cream, pasta, all the foods that, burgers, things like that. And I, when I work with a client, I typically say, let's build a new lifestyle for you, but that allows you this 80-20 kind of parameter to work within, so that they don't feel like all of a sudden everything's being ripped out from underneath them. They're not going to have any of these foods anymore. Let's find a way where they can still be in your life a little bit, but for the most part, you're creating a healthier lifestyle for yourself.
So it sounds like you're giving clients healthier options. Do you also work on portion control?
Yeah, portion control is a big one.
Okay.
So
Tell us more.
As we know, it's sometimes easier said than done to control portions when there are favorite foods. But one of the tricks that I always say is make sure you fill up on your green leafies first. Have a nice big healthy salad with lots of veggies in it, your lean protein. Fill up on the things first that are going to make you feel satisfied or help you to feel satisfied, and the heavier carb items, make them smaller on your plate. If you go back for seconds, put some more greens back on your plate. But portion control is definitely something that's hard for many people, and one of the things that we have to work on a lot to create.
Okay. What is your mindfully nourished client base like?
I don't necessarily have a niche market, which I probably should have more of, but I don't like to say no to anybody. So I would say I work from teens all the way up to, I have some clients that are in their 70s, 70, 75 years old. So I can work with someone that has, needs weight gain, weight loss. I do work a little bit in the area of eating disorders and people struggling in that area, as well as general health issues, joint pain, sleep issues, brain fog, ADD, fibromyalgia, all those areas that are very impacted by what we put into our body.
And I assume that those clients are going to start out very similar to the way you did, just getting rid of the foods that are detrimental to their well-being.
Yeah, it's a pretty simplistic equation in terms of what needs to be done. It's just, one of my phrases I always say is, I can help bring you to the water, but I can't get you to drink it. So someone has to be really very motivated to make the changes, and it doesn't have to be all in one day or in a week or in a month, but day by day, adding in or taking out something to create that.
So what are some of the signs you look for in your clients that tells you they're doing better?
Oh, right away I can see it in their skin. That's a big thing. Skin, face, attitude, all over kind of disposition. I can see someone that seems very sluggish, depressed, overwhelmed, and as they kind of transition through the program, they seem lighter, more energetic, happier. It doesn't always happen the way I want it to happen, but when I see that, I know, hey, something's clicked here.
And do you find that your clients have more control of their lives?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because it's, in life, there's not a lot we can control, but what we put into our bodies is something we can control. And that's, when I work with someone, I'm not working from a place of where I say, we need to stop this, we need to stop that. I very rarely, unless it's diet soda or something that's very unhealthy, usually I start by just crowding out what they're currently eating to build a new kind of food repertoire, so to speak.
Okay. And what goes on in one of your sessions? What do you normally do? How long's a session?
Typically sessions are about an hour. First session definitely is an hour. Second session and third to follow up can be anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour, depending on what the client's need is. There's a lot of psychology that goes into how people eat, what they eat, how they feel, how they view themselves, and where they feel that they want to be. So most sessions, I would say, go about an hour.
And typically, what do you do in the first session?
So first session is really a review, a health history review. Everybody that comes to see me for the first time fills out and brings a health history form that gives me all the information kind of on their health, what their current diet is, what their past diet was, weight issues, health issues, medications, all that.
So you got like specific questions like what do you have for breakfast?
Right, so we kind of go through a day in the life of and how that looks, and that can focus around their eating habits, their physical activity habits, their sleep habits, all that stuff that makes us tick.
And when clients say, well, I don't have the time to do it, or other members of my family aren't going to go along with this, what do you say to them?
Well, you do need the support of people around you to understand what you're going to do and the steps you're going to take, because you're in a social setting. You don't want people asking you, why are you not eating this? Why are you not drinking this type of thing? So typically I will ask them, do you have the support of your spouse or your parents or most people do. But there is a certain amount of resistance that is met with getting in the kitchen and preparing and being prepared to take a journey like this. And you got to be able to do that.
Now, do you offer cooking lessons?
I do not.
Okay.
What I offer is recipes, recipe websites, recipe ideas, very simple, healthy, basic cooking ideas, ideas for smoothies, things like that. I've gone into people's houses and helped them learn how to make smoothies, but that's kind of where I draw the line.
And do you refer them to like any cooking classes at like Whole Foods or any places like that?
I have, but I really encourage them to just fall in love with their kitchen. And that not being something you need to spend hours and hours doing, but basically spending a couple hours a week being prepared, cutting up and chopping up veggies, having things ready so you can grab them and take them out of their fridge.
So how many appointments do you feel is necessary for clients? I know there's going to be some variation in there, but typically 5 sessions?
I would say around 5 sessions, and I have people that I've been seeing for a couple years that will come once a month for a tune-up or once every 2 or 3 months just to check in, that have a flare-up or don't feel great for a certain reason, and we reconnect and kind of revisit where they're at.
And do you ever refer out to physicians or have medical doctors refer clients to you?
Absolutely. I work at a wellness center in Highland Park, and we have an MD in there, as well as chiropractic, physical therapy, audiology, acupuncture, and we try to refer to each other, and if necessary, I do refer out to like a registered dietitian.
Who's the MD?
Who's the MD?
Yeah.
His name is Larry Caskell.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've interviewed a lot of physicians around here. That's why I asked.
Okay.
Yeah, he probably would be a great guest.
He would be a great guest.
Okay, now do you do couples counseling?
I love couples counseling. That's my
Okay.
favorite.
Yeah, why?
Well, because they've got each other's back. They're in there for a reason. They're on this kind of road together of health, and usually I have a lot of success with couples counseling. I'd like to do more couples counseling.
And why do you think you are successful at couples counseling?
I think it's more, why are they successful? And
Okay,
I think
good
that
point.
they are very, when they come as a couple, they've made this decision together, and you don't always have that with one or the other. A lot of times I'll coach people or individuals where the husband or the wife is not on board for it. It makes it challenging for the spouse to kind of follow through with it. So with couples, it's nice because they're doing this together.
Okay.
They're invested together.
And so what kind of feedback do you get from the couples who have come to you?
Good feedback, successful feedback. There are some of the people that I have seen for years on and off that I'll go visit. One couple in particular, I'll go to their house sometimes and kind of revisit. She's one of those that doesn't love being in her kitchen, so we work on that. And
Is she a mother?
she's not.
Okay.
No, they're not. They're no kids.
Yeah.
Lots of cats, but no kids.
Yeah. And what about entire families? Have you worked with entire families?
A couple of entire families. It's never been really an entire family. It might be a couple individuals from the family, and I've met with the family. But I would say bigger success with couples,
Okay.
for sure.
And I know you mentioned you worked with teenagers, or I mentioned in the intro. At what age do you think children could start learning the skills that you offer?
I wish I'd introduced what I know now earlier for my children.
How old were your children when they got indoctrinated?
Well, I've probably been at this for maybe 6 or 7 years now, and the oldest is 23.
Okay,
So
16.
I'm not the greatest at math, but they were, a little bit older.
Yeah.
But it's had a big influence, a huge impact on them. It's nice to see that, how really they love good, clean food. And we all go out and we have fun and let our guards down times too, but for the most part, my kids really love coming home and having a healthy meal.
And what about alcohol? Are you a advocate of, your program is mainly moderation, but what do you say to your clients about alcohol?
I say that if you want to have a drink, you go have a drink. I say that, focus on making, obviously keeping it to a certain, not overdoing it. But if you're having a couple cocktails on the weekend and you want to, you're keeping it kind of a cleaner drink, maybe just something on the rocks, absolutely. And this is all about creating a lifestyle that works for people and allows them to still let their guard down.
And coffee is a big part of many people's lives. Do you have recommendations for coffee as well? A daily cup or two? Or?
Yeah, I guess my biggest thing with coffee is hydrate before you caffeinate. So I think
I've
it's
never
very
heard that. It makes sense.
Yeah, it's very important in the morning to get up and drink a couple glasses of water or lemon water to just kind of filter your system, to get your system ready for the day, to roll out the carpet, to start nutrition. But I think before you get that caffeine in there, it's really important to hydrate. And being hydrated can make or break someone's day. I feel like it's a very important part of our day.
And if someone's not hydrated, what would the symptoms be of dehydration? Or what can
Fogginess, fatigue, headaches, lethargy, and just GI issues. Lots and lots of areas point to dehydration. And oftentimes I'll meet with someone and I can see on their face and in their skin that they're not well hydrated.
And what are you seeing that they're not well hydrated?
Dry mouth. Sometimes just their skin looks dry to me. They just seem lethargic, and one of the first questions I'll ask them is, tell me about your hydration.
Well, I know there are some tests for hydration. Are they accurate? Or are they used in your community?
No, I think that the biggest test is your own test, and just making
Yeah.
sure that you always have water by your side, and that you don't feel dehydrated, and that the minute you start to feel symptoms of edginess, headache, things like that, that you ask yourself before you pop a couple Tylenol, if I had water today, how much water have I had? How about trying some water before I take a Tylenol to see if it helps my headache? And I would say 9 times out of 10 it works.
Okay. In your opinion, what is the most successful way to eat?
I'm a big fan of phytonutrition. You know what that is?
I've heard of it before.
Okay. So I'm a big fan of greens.
Okay.
I think that you can put greens with anything. You know,
And what kind of greens you talking about?
I'm talking about any kind of greens. Like you were saying, you had a garden.
Yeah.
Did you say you had a garden? Which I do too. And I would say kale, spinach, arugula, romaine, Swiss chard, any spicy greens, any really greens that you can throw into your foods.
Yeah, I like collard greens.
Okay.
Yeah, and then cabbage. So instead of having a raw salad, I make my own sauerkraut. I put up, I don't know, like 60 quarts, and then just mix in, tofu and nuts and whatever, and make salads out of it.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
You should
Yeah.
market that. Sell it.
Yeah, and then as far as greens, I take the greens from my garden and then just pick them. You just blanch them for like a minute, and then I freeze them, and then I have my homegrown greens to eat year round. It's
that's
great.
That's
yeah,
a great
so I'm
idea.
a big fan of greens.
That's a
as
great
well.
idea.
Yeah.
So greens and good sources of lean protein. Fats, very important.
Yeah.
There's a saying that says you got to be skinny, you got to eat fats, and I think that good sources of fat are very, very important. High quality olive oil, some coconut oil, grapeseed oil to cook with, sesame oil. I think fat's very, very important. Fat that we get from the fish that we eat for brain function and for all over body health and to move our system around.
Well, I know there's like mercury in fish and some other pollutants. Any advice on being careful not to ingest too much fish?
Well, that's the sad truth, that there is a lot of mercury in lots of the bigger fishes that we eat. I'm a big fan of sardines and smaller fish that have much less mercury in them.
Sure.
So I would say, you stay away from more of the bottom-feeding fishes and shellfish, and stick to salmon and whitefish and just smaller fish.
And how many portions of fish a week do you recommend? I know you're pretty easy, but what do you have a general number?
If it was up to me, I would probably eat fish every night because I really love fish. But you got to have some variety. But I try to eat fish 2 or 3 nights a week for sure. I do try to do as much as I can a vegetarian kind of day where I'm staying away from meat. That's kind of a new thing I've introduced. I think that we get a lot of nutrition, a lot of protein from greens and vegetables. There's a lot of too much emphasis on meat and protein, animal protein.
Well, it goes back many, many years to the meat and dairy industry when they were making up the
guidelines.
The dietary guidelines.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're still very stuck on that.
Now, can you mention how sleep affects our overall weight and health, and what we can possibly do to improve our sleep quality?
That's probably one of the biggest issues I hear in my practice, and as people age, it gets more and more challenging to sleep. We talked about this a little bit when I was out in the lobby, and how people have so many issues around sleep. So what I suggest is having very good sleep hygiene, which is easier said than done, meaning an hour or an hour and a half before bed, shutting down all TVs, electronics, things like that, kind of dimming the lights a little bit in the house. I'm very light sensitive, so around 9:30 the lights in my house start going dimmer.
They make lamps, they call sunrise, sunset lamps, that automatically power down.
Oh, I got to check that out.
They're amazing, and it's good to also in the morning, so it just gradually powers on instead of using an alarm clock.
Right. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
So I would say with sleep and food and eating and all of that, that it's very good to kind of have a short-term fast.
Mm-hmm.
So I always tell my clients, let's try to stop eating, if you can, around 8 o'clock, 7:30, 8 o'clock, and different on the weekends. Sometimes you're out later, and have that fast through the night. Because when you're sleeping, ideally, if your GI is done doing its thing, during those hours, it allows everything else to heal, all of our organs to heal during that time. It's very hard to get good sleep when you're digesting at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So just having good sleep hygiene, getting into bed, reading a book, and getting into the habit of getting into bed and allowing your body to kind of calm down is ideal.
I find praying before bed helps me.
Praying's awesome, meditation's awesome, yoga, stretching, all those things.
I do those things too.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. Okay, what are the dangers of sugar and how does it impact our well-being?
Well, sugar's a big thing in our world, and unfortunately, sugar is very inflammatory causing. So, if you take someone that eats a lot of sugar and then we take them off the sugar, they almost instantaneously see and feel the impact from that. They automatically almost feel less inflamed, more alert, just less ill. Mm-hmm. So sugar is so overdone in America. It's overused, overeaten. You go to the grocery store, it's very hard to make a decision on what to buy, what to eat. Sugar's in everything. So,
can you be more specific as some of the hidden sources of sugar?
Well, one of the biggest hidden sources is corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup, which, as educated as people are, they're not always educated in the area of what ingredients go into what we eat. And so there's a lot of hidden sugars. And so I always say when in the grocery store, read every label. Read every label. See how much sugar is in things. Less is more. Once you start getting to these big chemical names that you can't read, you've lost me. So that wouldn't be an item that I would pick. Mm-hmm. So sugar is the root of all evil in many ways when it's overdone. Mm-hmm. Diabetes, fibromyalgia, GI issues, IBS, a lot of times comes from sugar and the bacteria that feeds on sugar in our guts.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then when people are getting off of sugar, do you recommend some substitutes like fresh fruit or berries?
Absolutely, and stevia. Stevia is a nice substitute. So if someone's putting sugar in their coffee or using a lot of sugar, I always say, let's try stevia. Let's see how that works for you, how you like it. A little bit of honey or agave or maple syrup sometimes burns differently than sugar, but can also be overused.
All right, I've got to cut you off there because we're out of time.
Okay.
For more information about Mindy, Infinity Foundation, Inner Quest Talk Show, stay tuned to the credits at the end. Until next time, wish you good health, good fortune, and good spirits.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
For more information about this show, our guest, Infinity Foundation, or any of our other programs, please visit our website, infinityfoundation.org, or call us at 847-831-8828.